Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Ultra Confusion Thursday Night Hangout. I, of course, am your host, and I'm joined once again by, actually, I should say your host, Charlie, and I'm joined once again by the prolific Connor himself, Zealeus.
You do that introduction how many times, and you still foolart. Yeah, what's up with that?
I know. Well, I try to get creative.
You think one of these years you would hit without...
Years?
Decades? Centuries? Ugh. Eons? Lifetimes? I'm out of ideas here. Evolution cycles?
Okay, that's a little too far, don't you think?
Well, we could become immortal.
That would be nice. That would be nice. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
That could be a whole other topic.
We have lots of topics to talk about, and of course, you, the audience, can join in. Of course, if you are watching this recorded, you'll have to wait till next Thursday. But if you're live, like we are right now,
we are live.
Then come join in on the fun. Okay, first topic. We're gonna go. I know we like to bring back a certain MOBA and topic, and that of course is Smite. Smite has basically given out, or basically revealed, not given out. I wish they would give out, but no, it's going to be, it was revealed. Cha-ching! You're going to have to pay some money. But of course, it is the Scylla skin commemorating Cognitive Prime.
Get it right, man!
Cognitive Prime, or what used to be called Cognitive Gaming, for their victory.
But at the time, that would be accurate.
Well, the ironic thing is that team is no longer Cognitive, but now Cloud9. But they can't do a Cloud9 thing because Cloud9 didn't make it. But, it gets all kinds of complicated. But congratulations to the team once again, and you have a pretty nice-looking Scylla skin.
And you can now play Little Red Riding Hood, basically, and Smite. She looks like Little Red Riding Hood. I'm sorry, man.
It does, but it definitely has some cognitive little...
It does, but she's got the red hood. She's a short little girl. It's freaking... she even has hounds. It's Little Red Riding Hood. I know they're not really hounds, but they look like a hound that's chasing after her, man.
Yeah. Anyways, so congratulations. Okay. Here's an interesting topic that... actually, you know what? Let's jump a bit here. Because I'm the one who's driving this thing, so I get to jump.
Sorry, I got something in my eye.
Whatever, man.
It's probably like an air bubble.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, if you are going to MomoCon and you look at the program, you may notice that the destruction of the gaming industry as we know it, and so you finish being in your indie game and you think you're done, are kind of not there. It's not that we're no longer given the panels, it's that we were given a 36 character maximum. So the name of the panels had to change. The destruction of the game industry as we know it became destruction of the game industry. And then, so you finish making your indie game, you think you're done, has been transformed into, you finished making your indie game, now what?
I think there are changes for the good, man. Maybe at times, possibly just throwing it out there, maybe the titles got a little bit long and stretched out. Whereas now it's a little bit more succinct.
Well, right. I think one of the reasons why the titles were so long was that I wanted to leave kind of no ambiguity. I didn't want any vagueness in the title, and then of course just when you let's say that you're trying to describe this can, I could say it's a red can I'm drinking from. Or it could be like, it is a kickstart hydrating boost, energizing strawberry kiwi can that's slightly cold that contains 10%
Or I could just call it a sugar drink.
It's got caffeine and sugar.
Yeah, it's caffeine.
Sugar's in there.
Sugar's got to be in there. Sugar's in everything, man.
I don't know
HFCS.
But I'm trying to see, do they have the, okay, there's no fat, there's sodium. No. Oh, there it is, sugar, 14 grams.
That's 14 more grams than this beer.
How much is there? Do they have a sugar? No, they don't. Okay.
That's unfortunate.
It is. That's terrible. Anyways, okay, so if you're going to MomoCon, we're still there. Oh, speaking of MomoCon, a slightly sad news occurred. I know that if you've been really keeping up with MomoCon, you already know this, but for those of you out there who have not heard, Steve Blum, the voice behind many different famous characters. Of course, the one that I immediately think about every single time is Spike Spiegel from Cowboy Bebop, is no longer scheduled to go to MomoCon because of a scheduling conflict. So for that, I am saddened. But ironically, the first time ever that I gave a panel, he was in the adjoining room, and I could hear his panel through the wall of my panel the entire time. And needless to say, I was a little bit envious, would be a good word, I think. Yeah. So anyways, unfortunately, he's not going to make it. He will try to make it back for 2016 MumbleCon.
Yeah, you're a busy man in demand. That's not a bad thing to have happen to you.
Indeed.
I wouldn't be too jealous.
Indeed. Okay. So an interesting development has occurred, and part of me says, man, this is way past due. But the other part goes, it's been doing all right without this. The ESRB is now going to institute a rating system for mobile platforms.
Okay.
So my question is, how are they going to regulate this? Because you've got all these different platforms that are being that are already, they've got tons and tons of games. Are they just going to start? Are we going to get to a point where we're going to start there's this magic date where all of the games are going to have to go through a rating system?
Well, okay, ESRB is all fine and great, but for instance, I just pulled up a random game on the App Store that I've never heard of called Stormblades by Kilo or Kalu, I don't know. Kailu, thank you. And it very clearly has a rating of rated for 12 and older for infrequent and mild realistic violence, frequent intense cartoon or fantasy violence. And I'm pretty sure the Google Play Store has the same type of rating systems. So,
do they? Yeah, maybe they do.
I would think so. That's your tablet. Check it out.
I know, but if I go like this, it goes.
No.
All right, I'll look.
But my point is, at least on the most popular device here, it very clearly says, this is the rating for the game. So it's kind of like, it's all fine and great that the ESRB is jumping on the bandwagon for online games, but at least on the iOS, the games have very clearly laid out ratings. And I'm really surprised that the app.
I think I don't know about Apple, but I think at least for I think that some games do have a rating on the Google Play Store, but I think it's optional. I don't think that you have to put the rating on there. I don't know about iOS. I'll be totally honest with you. I don't know about the iOS submission thing. But okay. So my question is: are we talking indie games here? Are we talking about independent games being rated, or are we only talking about the AAA titles? Like if EA were to release a game onto the mobile platform, it's going to be based on this.
That'd be my assumption because they only have so many resources to pass around.
Look at Steam. The vast majority of the indie games that don't have a physical distribution, they don't have an ESR.
Well, it used to be easy for the ESRB because you had the console games. So it was a very clear, you had X number of games. It was very easy to kind of predict what the volume was.
So the ESRB, one of the reasons why it was so powerful was that stores basically said, we're only going to stock games that are E for everyone up to T for teen.
Yeah.
So that was important for the brick and mortar stores, the publishers, to get their games in the brick and mortar store. They had to do that.
Yep.
But now when you go into a digital distribution system, I'm not going to say the importance of the ESRB is kind of, diminished, but at the same time,
I think it is diminished.
Right. There's no gatekeeper saying, oh, you don't have an ESRB rating, you can't post your game here, because because these digital platforms, they want money.
I mean, it's the Wild Wild West as far as, getting your game out there.
Right.
So when it comes to, the Apple Store, they don't give a shit about the ESRB. They're like, whatever, man.
Right.
We're Apple. Apple don't care about anybody else and what they do. Apple does their own damn thing.
I know.
And it's worked for them. It works for them, but they don't care. The Google, the ESRB definitely had its place in time, but it seems like it's just become less relevant in terms of how much publishers or developers care about ESRB ratings as compared to previous generation of gamings.
Once again, I think it totally has to do with the brick and mortar stores. I mean, you had a gatekeeper in place that basically even
for PC games up until the last couple of years, you had to get them at GameSpot or Game.
It's going to be called the IARC. It is global game ratings to Google Play consoles and more. Oh, actually, it looks like has been guiding customers. Blah 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 blah. Maybe they're actually. Oh, it looks like they're joining forces
with Google.
No. With all of the different rating systems out there, ESRB and the International Age Rating Coalition. IARC are pushing out a global rating system along with other rating authorities in other parts of the world, including PEGI, Class End.
Now, the interesting thing, too, though, is, different. If you're talking about international ratings, is different cultures have different interpretations. And some cultures are much more open about, say, sexuality. Or some cultures are much more open about violence. Or the other way around. America is much more open about.
Okay.
Yeah, it can go either way.
Give me all the blood you want. Yeah, that's kid stuff.
Fake violence, yeah.
Okay, there you go. Fantasy violence.
Yes, thank you. So different cultures have different interpretations of what is for adults versus teenagers.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see how they interpret those results for the international versions. So it's not a bad thing when you have resources that parents can use. But I also think that at the same time, parents go on, they're looking in the iOS store for games. They're not going to go looking elsewhere for ratings on games.
Right.
They're going to look, boom, okay, nope, that's what's in my store. That's what I'm going to do.
Well, okay, so what another issue is the downfall to any rating system is always going to be who knows about it. The fact of the matter is we already know about it. Gamers already know about this rating system, but the rating system is really more into place for the uneducated. So they kind of have that understanding of what the game contains. I mean, that's the beauty of the ESRB. I mean, they've continually refined the way that they do things. So you're to the point where I'm trying to think if I've got a game close by. I don't know if I've got one that's got a rating on it. But you're to the point where if you read the box, it tells you it's M, and then it gives you M for mature and gives you a breakdown of tobacco use, sexual situations, gun violence. It gets very specific, which is awesome. But at the same time, I understand the need to maybe do like a universal rating system, but culture definitely plays into it. I know this is going to sound weird, but color combinations also play into the way that games are interpreted. Different colors mean different things to different regions. If you were to get I'm trying to think. I think if you were to get like Kingdom Hearts in the Middle East, Sora's costume or color palette would be completely different because those colors mean something totally different in that part of the world.
It's kind of like gang territory. You don't want to wear the wrong colors into the gangs in downtown LA.
Right.
We're not in one.
Right. So interesting. I'm very. So I misinterpreted it as they're just doing, they're going to extend to the mobile platform, but it looks like they're going to try to like globalize a rating system that will also encompass mobile gaming.
Now that could make some sense. Like say, for instance, say Apple and the Google Marketplace. Then that way they're both pulling from potentially the same source of ratings for their games.
Right.
So and then you could have like a link there that goes straight to it or something along those lines. So I could see potential for it. It just seems, especially like the iOS Marketplace, just doesn't really care what anybody else does.
Well, Apple is always good. It'll be very interesting to see if this universal rating system, once it's fully established, if Apple will be like, okay, help us rate the games. But we go back to, right now, because of digital distribution. I know I keep going back to digital distribution, but there is no gatekeeper that forces you to get the ratings. Are they going to be able to put some kind of incentive together to make or to encourage developers and publishers to put it through this system before they put it out?
They would have to put the pressure on Valve. That's about the only option, is pressure Valve into doing something like the games, like the brick and mortar, gatekeeper model. That's about the only option. If you don't get Valve on board, then it's not going to go anywhere on the PC.
Okay. Okay. If we're going to be talking Valve, we're talking Steam. Once again, are we talking all games on Steam? Is there, there's.
I don't think it makes sense not to do all games on Steam, especially Steam also has quite the emphasis nowadays on indie games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not uncommon where you come onto Steam and the first thing that's open your games is some independently developed game or not AAA title, maybe just a single A title. You're just a B+ title. So I think in terms of that, in order to make it relevant, it has to be for everything. Because people are just going to get more confused. If you go to one game and it has ESRB rating, you go to the next game and it doesn't have ESBR rating, I think it loses some of its credibility too that way.
Right.
So I think you kind of have to do everything. I just don't buy doing, well, over here. Now, I think it's more realistic to do it on the Steam platform because they are the gatekeeper for what comes onto the Steam platform.
Okay, so then the question would be, what kind of incentive could this organization give Steam, or Valve and Google and Apple to allow them to put this rating system in front of their shop?
The ability of marketing campaign on once you think of the children. Because if you don't think of the children, you're not using this rating. If you're going to save the children, use this rating.
Okay, so it's going to be a threat, guilt trip.
It works pretty well for politicians. Why not ESRB?
I hate to say this, but gamers are smarter.
But are the parents? They're not marketing this at the gamers. They're marketing it at the parents.
But the thing is, with the digital distribution system, chances are the actual individual who's going to be playing this game is going to be the one.
But who's purchasing it? That's what really matters. Who actually has that income to purchase it? That's what matters.
Mommy and daddy put their credit card in there. I mean, let's be honest. Let's be completely honest.
My parents didn't put the credit card in there.
You didn't have Steam when you were growing up.
I had AOL, man. I could put my credit card in there, doggone it.
No, you're going to buy. There's no games to buy with credit card.
Sure there was. There was that MUD that you could play through AOL. I can't remember the name of it now, though.
Just use a BBS. Do Red Dragon Inn.
Or there was EverQuest, man. Just saying.
Yeah, but... Anyways, we'll see. I mean, it's an interesting idea. I don't know how they're
the reality is, I think they're about 5 years behind in the whole mobile platform.
I think it's more than 5.
My point being, if they had right away been hey, let's work together on this, Apple, Google, etc.,
we're about 10 years behind.
Then I think that it would be like a link on the Google Marketplace or the Apple Marketplace. To be like, hey, go to the ESRB rating. Because we have everything rated. It's fantastic. But trying to come into an already established ecosystem, they missed it.
I agree. I agree. We'll see what happens. If I don't know how.
I just don't know if it's as relevant as it used to be.
It would be relevant. I don't know. Whatever. We'll see. We'll see.
Indeed. That's all we can do, man. We can see with our own 2 eyes.
All right. So an interesting topic came up, and I do want to bring this up. There has been a push for all of these, maybe experimental, maybe conceptual, maybe just short movies that have been popping up on Vimeo, on YouTube, and all that stuff. And of course, I mean, there's other shorts. You've got short stories, novellas, all that stuff. Someone brought up a question: would it even be possible to have a game short where you play through where it's got a storyline that takes you 30, 40 minutes tops. You could do the entire game in a playthrough.
It's not called episodic content.
But that's the game. It's not episodic content.
I think we're. I know it's not.
It could be episodic content.
You already talked about that with your indie games and how they're an hour games. So I think we already kind of have those.
No, I'm talking 30-minute games. I'm not talking hour games. I'm talking 30 minutes. Would there? I mean, of course, there are games out there that have like a 30-minute link to it, but the question is, I guess a better question is, are they acceptable? Does it require like a new genre name? So it's not an adventure. It's I don't know, like a game, like a short adventure. I don't know how the hell you would say it, because to be honest with you, when I think game, I think, especially if it's got a storyline to it, I'm thinking multiple hours.
Mm-hmm.
So is it even feasible to think of a story-driven game that has a start, a beginning, and an end that lasts only 30 minutes, that has you interacting with it?
I'm not going to say it's not possible. It just doesn't seem very practical, especially consider the production cost. So getting all the assets in place in the first place is pretty high.
Right.
Just to even get that going in the first place. And then once you already have that in place, it becomes incrementally less to continue the game for further production hours. So for me, it doesn't make sense to get all that stuff in place and only do it for a half hour. But at the same time, I just, maybe for like a puzzle game or like something like that. I don't know. It seems kind of like a weird idea to me. It's kind of weird up there with the idea of permadeath, where it seems like an interesting idea. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Yeah, I could see it for some kind of episodic type of deal, where maybe you have one type of like the entire asset world in place, but maybe the next episode, instead of being continuation of volume 1, maybe it's on planet number 2. That has nothing to do with planet number 1, but they can reuse a lot of that same stuff. It doesn't seem financially advisable to use that method.
My one issue with this would be that when you condense something, it's got to be its best. You can't have any oopsie-daisies in there. The shorter the game is, the less flaws you can have, because the entire gaming experience is going to be built into that 30 minutes.
But at the same time, though, if there's an oopsie-daisy or two in a 30-minute game, before you know it, well, you've already finished the game, and I'm not tearing the game because there's too many oopsie-daisies. Where if you're a 4-hour game and there's a whole lot of oopsie-daisies, after 2 hours, I might get fed up and throw my controller against the window.
Potentially. But let's say that you have let's say you have 2 or 3 oopsie-daisies in a 30-minute game.
Mm-hmm.
You're more likely to remember those oopsie-daisies than the 2 to 3 in like a 4 to 6 hour game.
I don't know, though, because then you're now talking quantity over quality. Because if you have the quantity, if you have the same relative number of oopsie-daisies per a minute of gameplay, more oopsie-daisies in that 4-hour game total than that 30-minute game times 8. So now all of a sudden you have 8 times the oopsie-daisies in a 4-hour game.
If you have that many, the thing is, if you have that many oopsie-daisies in a 4 or 6 hour game, you should not have released it. In a 30-minute game, you might think, 1 or 2 is not going to be that bad. But the fact of the matter is, 1 or 2 could be very memorable, depending on where it is.
But now you're getting to the cost of expertise, where no matter the length of the game, the fewer number of bugs, you get to the upscale, the logarithmic scale, where it's increasingly more expensive to get rid of the last of those bugs. So it becomes less financially.
You can get away with more bugs in a longer game. I'm just going to say it, because especially if it's a sandbox game, you can have a shit ton of bugs, because chances are half of them are maybe even.
It's not 70, a bug, it's a feature!
No, it could be 80% of them will never be seen by the vast majority of the players.
This is true.
Because they're not looking for it. But when you're talking about a 30-minute game, you're probably thinking linear storyline, where you cannot avoid it.
Mm.
Where, it could be a crash bug. It could be what the hell's happening with my tablet. Not right now, but one of the fun things that's been happening with my tablet as of late is when I'm streaming like Netflix or Xfinity on the Go or March Madness or something. For some reason, at some random interval, my entire tablet will reset itself.
That's no bueno.
No, it's not bueno at all. It's not bueno at all. I'm just... if you're going to make a short game and it be successful, I think feasibly, financially, that is really difficult to do.
Yes.
What, in my own opinion, if I were an independent, if I were an independent developer trying to take on a project like this, I would, and especially if I'm building everything myself, because absolutely, a lot of the assets, the graphics engine, the way that you do your sounds, all the little behind the scenes that no one ever sees pieces, they cost money. I would
free the
basically,
pixels.
I would get all the kinks out of all those systems, which are going to cost me money, but with a longer game. I know that would take longer to make, but at the same time, you wouldn't have to use so much spit shine. You know, it's like how the hell do I say this?
I don't know.
It's like a picture, okay? When you have a small picture, it's got to be crisp, you know? When it's a humongous picture, you can put it on the other side of the room, and it looks crisp. But when you walk up, it looks all jaggedy. But because of its size, you can kind of throw it all the way to the back of the room. I'm just saying.
I don't buy it.
Oh, well, okay. Well,
That's
anyways.
all right.
So anyways, I'm just going to say this, there are games out there that have, you know, it's a maximum of 30-minute length that are linear story-based games. I'm hoping the vast majority of them are on mobile devices, but I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. Okay. So I downloaded the other day to give it a shot. I tried on my iOS SimCity by EA. In a way, that's how I kind of feel about the game. Because after about a half hour to hour, because it's like Farmville, where you get X number of money or something for doing stuff, and obviously they want to incentivize you to buy more money so you can do stuff instantaneously.
Right.
But after about a half hour, you get to that point where basically you have to put down the game for like a half hour and come back later to then click and collect all your coins and shit.
Right.
And that's kind of how I feel about those type of games. To me, they are our games. Because guess what? I'm not going to come back to them. So to me, it's like, well, I've already seen how you play the game. And I'm not going to come back in 5-minute increments just to, pick up the rest of the coins and build more stuff. So that's how I kind of feel about those type of monetization type of games. To me, they are like our games. Because after an hour, it's like, well, I've already seen what the game has to offer. I'm bored of it now. And I know, obviously, it can go on longer than that. But I feel like that's how those games feel to me. Mainly because they just pissed me off in the end.
So anyway,
sorry, it's my weekly microtransactions rant.
If they're done right, it's okay. If they're not done right,
it's not up there with your Sonys. I didn't get a cheer from the audience.
All right, so this is a bit of a controversial topic. It's almost toxic, but what the hell? We're going to talk about it anyways. This is slightly outside of gaming, but at the same time is in the nerdum.
The geekdom
sphere. And that, of course, is the Batgirl cover.
The geekdom sphere. That sounds like a great band name.
I know. The alternate cover for Batgirl that has since been removed. The artist was basically paying homage to Batman, the Killing Joke. In the picture, Joker has basically got his arm around a very, very scared Batgirl, and he's drawing a smile and blood, and he's holding a gun. And of course, it's to homage for that, and there was a lot of brutality, violence, potential sexual assault. And so there was quite a few people who took to the internet and said this will not stand, and of course it got removed. Some people, and this is why it's toxic. Some people would say that it was just a small minority that was making a lot of noise, and that freedom of expression. They should have been. There's nothing. Yes, the girl looks absolutely freaked out on the. Batgirl looks extremely freaked out on the cover, but there's no actual violence on there, and it is a portrayal of a villain and a heroine, and the villain being evil as shit.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, okay, so this came up, and this is, of course, going to trickle back into video games. If we see, I mean, would it be too far-fetched to see maybe this effect? Because not to make light of the situation, but sexual assault has been a huge hot button topic across the board. Athletics, professional athletes, comics. So what happens if you start skirting the line in a AAA video game?
I think the first thing I thought when you're saying, I kind of figure you're going there, is take a game like Resident Evil. Mm-hmm. Or even Heavy Rain, where there's very clear, violence against women in the game. I mean, granted, it's obviously fictionalized, but you have Ada Wong who's getting chainsawed her head off, or you have isn't it Paige from Heavy Rain?
I think so.
Who's getting chainsaw, getting stabbed to death by the guy in the basement. But I think the difference between a video game and those kind of brief moments of violence against the woman and having the cover on a Batman novel is it's much more iconic and static, being on the front of a comic. It's more of a symbol and an actual statement. When it's on something, it's static, it's boom, right there in your face. Versus a brief fleeting moment that's in a video game. So to me, it's a pretty clear delineation of what you see on the front of a comic book that kind of. And usually we just see on the front of, say, even a comic book or a video game or a book, it's kind of a theme for what you're going to read on into it, or what that source material is about. If you had Heavy Rain and the front of the cover was Paige getting stabbed in the belly by the
dentist.
Yeah, the dentist, thank you. Yep. Then I'm pretty sure there would be a controversy over that too. And I think that's part of it too. We have that kind of theme. And I think when you have that on the front and center, and that's what you've made that material about, I think that's what changes things some. And that's just the reality of, you also look at the gaming culture we live in. I know people out there disagree, but I still think there's pretty clear sexism and nerdism and gaming world as a general against women. There just is.
Right.
And I think, I can see where people see, cover like that, and that's how they take, this is only going to further increase, potential unwanted
advances.
Yes, thank you. Advances, or even just things that guys might say. Because there's guys. It's probably not guys. It's probably females too. It goes across all spectrums. Where now they're emboldened to maybe say things they wouldn't have otherwise. So I think you got to be sensitive to that. At the same time, the other first thing that went across my mind is. If you had a guy who was on the cover of that book, nobody would have batted an eye.
Absolutely, right.
So it's kind of that, but the reality is when you get to, especially the gaming world, males and females are treated differently. And in that case, I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing. It's just the reality of the world we live in.
Okay, so I kind of agree with what you're saying. Yes, when you look at the thing is, not everyone knows. Well, I mean, they came out and said that now everyone knows that it goes back to the Killing Joke, but not everyone knew that that's what the guy was paying homage to. The other thing is, it's an alternate cover. This is not one. It's not the main cover that was going to be featured for the vast majority of the comics printed out.
Yeah,
you would probably have to special order it.
Okay.
So in that regard. It is a very sticky situation. I will fully admit, because there was a lot of connotation behind it, a lot of insinuations, and probably they were not. I mean, they were probably truths, but it's really for me. Art is really, there's so much worse stuff on the internet that you could find.
Well, here's the interesting though is I kind of think about this. I think part of it too is that cover is in a way I think it's I'm trying to put myself in a female as hard as it is because I'm always a female.
Sounds wrong.
Is
excuse me. You're trying to
that
put yourself in the mindset of a female.
Yes, is that the cover is much more psychological than physical.
Right. Okay.
Which when you're talking in terms of abuse and all that is it's always said that in most. Not always. There's always an exception. More frequently than not, it's more so the psychological effects that are worse than the physical. The physical ailments will heal themselves, but the psychologicals can last a lifetime. And I'm thinking, one of the other, I would say one of the most iconic comic book covers was Batman getting his back broken. By Bane. And I was thinking, what about Wonder Woman, for instance? Because obviously, she's Wonder Woman. She's probably going to take a few hits. I think if you had, say, like Wonder Woman, getting her back broken over Bane's knee, I don't know if there'd be much controversy over that, depending on how it's pictured, because that's more just like the physical toll. And not to say that physical violence is okay, obviously, but I think there's a different perception of the physical violence because it's fleeting.
Versus psychological.
She's going to overcome it, versus psychological, which we know can last a lifetime and doesn't go away. Right. So I think that cover is very poignant and psychological, and maybe that could be part of it too. So it's like I said, it's a very tricky situation. Sometimes you come out with that and there's no one right answer because, no matter what you do, if you keep it out there, people are going to complain about it. If you pull it down like they did, people are going to complain about it.
Right.
I don't know the right answer. I'm glad I'm not in a position where I have to make those.
Right.
It's an extremely tough situation to be in for the comic book industry. Because the reality is in the comic books, males and females both take, brutal hits from their villains. It's part of being a hero, the Superman or the Superwoman. You're gonna, get your ass kicked from time to time. But I guess how much do you make that the central theme that's on the cover of your book? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to say it's the funny thing, but because of the controversy, anything that's controversial, be it resolved with someone removing the article or the art or the game or the scene from the movie, once it's gotten that controversy, it will live forever on the internet.
You're right, and here's the thing: if that comic book had been released and there was no controversy over it, I would have never heard of it.
Right. Absolutely.
I would be like, oh, wow.
Only the people who followed the Batgirl comic would have.
Yeah, and now that it's the Streisand effect. Is basically what it comes down to.
Yeah.
More controversy you give it, the more people are going to hear about it who didn't otherwise hear about it. I don't think that necessarily changes the morality of keeping the cover or not, but I also think that's a reality of especially the internet and the social media world we live in. That there is that reality where if you raise a ruckus or something that maybe is more morally objectionable, people are also going to now know about it. Right. So, this is going down a dangerous path, but is it sometimes maybe okay to let something morally objectionable pass because if you don't raise an objection, people won't actually know about it. And that's a very slippery slope.
Right. Well, now, of course, now we're entering the realms of just controversy, and the unfortunate thing is because the internet allows for anonymity, people like to raise a ruckus just so they can get their 15 minutes of fame, which is unfortunate. But connotation can mean a lot, and in the end, the artist did what he felt was the right thing to do.
I think intent matters for a lot, and I'm pretty sure that in this instant, the artist obviously didn't mean for any intent of making women feel uncomfortable by the cover.
Right.
I'm going out on a limb here, but I'm pretty sure a established, respected artist that's not going to be their intent.
Right.
And I do think intent does matter in these cases, but at the same time, they pulled the cover. I'm not. It doesn't bother me that they pulled the cover, but at the same time, I doubt I'd be much concerned if they hadn't pulled the cover. And I think part of it too is, some things are just kind of like, I can see both sides of it.
Right.
Half a dozen one, half a dozen the other.
All right.
So I wonder how many people now are going to read this comic in lieu of this news. That
To see if the connotation reaches further than just the cover.
Yeah.
I don't know. The fortunate or unfortunate thing is any publicity is good publicity. Because if you make it controversial, people will jump on it. Hello, Flappy Bird. You know, literally just getting the word out is a huge battle for anyone who's trying to develop a product and try to get it out there.
But in the thing, I think it goes back to the intent sometimes, though. Because in this case, the intent was not anything, discriminatory or anything.
Right.
So in this case, it's not like the news is going to, I think, cause any ill horror towards it's DC Comics, right?
Yeah, DC.
Yeah. So I don't think it's going to cause any ill nature against DC Comics versus say something like it was not intentional, but take Assassin's Creed Unity. We had a lot of controversy over, the shit ton of bugs. Where in that case, they intentionally released a very buggy game. And because, they had a chance to rectify that beforehand, people are now hate Ubisoft basically for it. So I think that definitely matters on what was your intention when you came out with this.
Right.
How or why did it happen?
Right. Okay. Okay, we're speaking about Ubisoft. We're talking about Assassin's Creed Unity. And that was by far too many bugs, even for a long ass game to ignore.
I wasn't even thinking of that. Yeah, I was not referring back to our original conversation, but yeah, I hear you.
Okay, so there's a movie that's coming out. It's called Pixels. It stars Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Space Invaders, Centipede, Adam Sandler, and I can never remember the dude's name, but the dude from King of Queens. Of course, a lot of people have gone, "What is wrong with you? Why would you allow Adam Sandler to do this? You're messing it up." My response to this is the U-Bowl effect, okay? U-Bowl made some shitty ass movies about video games. Stop banging your head. It's not going to make it better. But the fact of the matter is he was able to actually get these video game movies out. Halo the movie, BioShock the movie, Assassin's Creed the movie.
I think I remember reading somewhere that basically it was like a tax haven from Germany. Because Germany pays their movie producers a lot of money, and that's how they got it done. Because something about Germany and taxes or something like that. I'm always just making it up.
The fact of the matter is, he somehow was able to continuously make these terrible movies based on video game franchises and actually get them out.
Yes, he did.
So,
what does that have to do with Adam Sandler?
A lot of people think that Adam Sandler, because Adam Sandler's in there, it's going to be stupid, it's going to be goofy, it's going to be slapstick, seriously, how the hell are you going to make, are you looking for a serious, biopic about the life and tragedy of
what it sounds
Pac-Man and Donkey Kong?
It sounds like an SNL skit.
And I think that's what a lot of people have their issue, because they want. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I wanted to be more like the Lego Movie." I'm like, the Lego Movie is retardedly stupid, and you got Adam Sandler, who until recently was retardedly stupid, and probably is retardedly stupid for making some really bad movies. So I don't understand.
He's made some terrible movies.
Oh, absolutely. But at the same time, if I had my way, I would love for this Pixels movie to be like Adam Sandler, Happy Gilmore, in that kind of crude humor vein, and not Blended or whatever that last one with Drew Barrymore was, that I had no desire to see.
He was good in 50 First Dates.
Yeah.
The two of them. They had good chemistry in that movie.
Yeah, but
And it's kind of funny to me, obviously, it was a pretty good chick flick, 50 First Dates.
Yeah.
But then you're trying to redo a movie with the same exact people. It's kind of weird to me.
There's a lot of anime that does that.
Okay, there's a difference between anime and like TV shows, movies. I think there is. That's just me. By the way, I did start watching Attack on Titan.
They're coming out with a live action. That's the new thing. Everything is going to be live action.
I'm trying to picture them using the I forget what they call it. The whoosh,
yeah.
Those things. No whoosh things. To fly up and down walls and stuff, which is pretty badass. Yeah, omnidirectionals.
Yep, there it is. Omnidirectionals. Okay. So, Ultra Confusion has come into possession of 2 new games that I am currently reviewing. Actually, I'm reviewing one at a time. There's a playthrough going right now. The first game, of course, is called
Call of Duty Modern Warfare!
No. It will never be Call of Duty.
Call of Duty 18!
It will never have anything with Call of Duty.
Madden 2016!
Okay, now you're just trying to piss me off. It's called Wolf. The Red Diaries?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which did look pretty awesome.
I started to play it. Let's see if I can get here. Blah, 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 blah. Did I actually put the name in there? No, of course I didn't. Because that would be silly. Yeah. It's not bad. It's a 2D platformer puzzle game where, yes, you have the option or the ability to try to kill everybody and anyone who gets in your way. But I'll tell you this right now, don't do it. Don't try to kill everyone because you'll never survive.
That's unfortunate.
Well, it's because certain enemies can one-hit you.
Oh, well, that's not very nice of them.
No, but you can go like this, like, I don't know, it's not really described, but it's kind of like this, like, super mode. That allows you to like kill faster and slow down time for them. So
I do like to kill faster.
The other game is called Eron, E-R-O-N.
Okay, every time I've seen that email go across my email, I think of Enron.
Yeah, well. So yeah, we're playing, or I'll play those 2 games. I've got a ton of games to play, and yes, I will just write the Blackguard 2 review because I don't think I'm ever going back to the game. I'm sorry.
Did you get cock blocked?
It's the clock block. No. I ran up against a bug right at the end of fighting a very, very difficult battle. And I cannot beat that battle.
Bugs can cock block you. Just saying.
I don't think of what. No.
Just saying.
You're weird. Yes. STD bugs can definitely cock block you. But computer game bugs are just an annoyance. They don't cock block you.
You gotta be more specific, yeah. Come on, man. You should know what's better. Alrighty then.
Now I want to watch Dr. Tran videos. Anyways, I believe, ladies and gentlemen, we have gone 50 minutes, so I think we'll just wrap it up from here. Yes, thank you for tuning in to the Ultra Confusion Thursday Night Hangout for myself, Charlie, and Zealeus. It's been a pleasure to give you the information coming out of our heads and, of course, some of the topics that I actually wrote down beforehand. Remember, every single Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It's not standard time anymore. I think it's daylight time, or I don't know, whatever. It's 8 o'clock on the East Coast. Whatever that is. Whatever the
5 o'clock Pacific Time.
Unless you're in Phoenix.
And then it's 6 o'clock.
I think so. I can't remember.
Which would make it Mountain Time.
They don't believe in daylight savings. But anyways,
I approve of because it's dumb.
I know
it
it's
pisses
dumb.
me off.
I know. But anyways, thank you for tuning in to the Ultra Confusion Thursday Night Hangout. For myself, Charlie, and Zealeus, we will be back next week at 8 p.m. Eastern Coast Time and 5 p.m. Pacific Coast Time. But until then, have fun, save your questions, come hit us up on our Twitter feed, which of course is Ultra Confusio, not Confusion. Ultra Confusion is too awesome of a name, so it's just Ultra Confusio. It's without the N. You can hit us up on Facebook.
Sounds like a spell.
I know. Ultra Confusio. You can hit us up on Facebook. The website is, of course, www.alteredconfusion.com. And, of course, our Twitch channel is Altered Confusion, all one word. So we will see you next week.
And remember, kids, keep on gaming in the free world.
Amen to that, brother.